I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back,
Chili's baby back ribs.
I want my baby back,
Chili's baby back ribs.
barbecue sauce. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back,
Chili's baby back ribs.
I want my baby back,
Chili's baby back ribs. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I want my baby back ribs.
Hey, welcome back to Brisket Brothers Barbecue. We are going to be doing our baby back ribs today, and we do apologize for getting that jingle stuck in your head. We're going to be taking you through everything from making a rub, getting them on the smoker, monitoring throughout the day, and then that fantastic assessment video by our Brisket Brothers at the end. So let's get this out of the packaging, let's get everything thrown away and patted dry, and then we'll get started. All right, we're about ready to go here. Our first step is going to be to get the membrane off the back of these baby back ribs. As you can see, baby back ribs don't really require too much trimming like their spare rib counterpart. If you'd like, you can go through and you can, get some of those ends nice and flat. You can get some of that fat off the left sides there, but for the most part, this is all pretty good. Doesn't require a whole lot of work. The first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to get that membrane off of the back of the ribs. So you're going to get a spoon, or like I'm using a butter knife here, run that along one of the bones, get your finger underneath and start pulling that membrane up. Once you have a good hold on it, and you might want to get a paper towel to do it, you just kind of pull it across the length of the ribs and it should come up. I emphasize the word should. As you can see here, we kind of jack that process up, but if you don't get it in one try, no worries. Just keep getting underneath and you'll get the rest of it fairly easily. We've got our membrane just about off of our first rack here. We're going to move on to our second rack and look forward to maybe an easier process. You guys are going to have to stick with me as I learn these new functions within Movie Maker. All right, we've got the membrane off of our ribs. We're going to use our binder here to get a little bit of a coating on the back of these ribs. We're using a Worcestershire sauce for that. Don't need a whole lot, just a couple of drops to get it wet and to have that rub stick to the meat. We're going to be doing the backs of these ribs first. Get that binder spread, and then we'll get started with our rub. All right, looks like we're ready to put our rub together here, starting with some paprika. We'll throw up the measurements that we're going to be using on the screen there. We have some garlic powder and some chili powder. Just for reference, this is the same rub we use on our pork butt. We have black pepper and kosher salt. We have some celery seed and onion powder. And then we'll be doing some oregano, some cumin, some dried thyme, and some brown sugar. Fairly simple, great results. All right, once you get everything mixed together, give a quick look here at what the color and consistency looks like of this rub. Might help if I stop shaking the bowl at the camera. There you go. Now it always helps to get this into a shaker. It makes it a lot easier to get an even coating spread across your ribs. So once you have your rub ready to go, just go ahead and get that in a shaker, and we can go ahead and get this on the ribs. So I know I've been a proponent of getting your rub onto your meat the night before, letting it sit in the fridge, and then pulling it out to throw on the smoker the next morning. Ribs are fairly quick. These baby backs are only going to take us about 5.5 hours. So we're doing this the day of. We're getting a nice good coat on top of here. Make sure everything looks nice, even. Get those sides and get ready to get to the smoker. Our Weber Smoky Mountain is up to temp. For today's cook, we're going to be trying to keep it somewhere between 250 and 275 degrees. We'll have the information on the types of wood and the setup we used up there in the text overlay. But once your smoker is up to temp, you can go ahead, grab your ribs, and let's get them on the top rack. You can see we have our backup chuck roast there on the second rack. That is not part of this video. One key note. When you are setting up your smoker, you are going to be using your chimney to light your coals most likely. If a hot coal does happen to fall out of that chimney, I can tell you that you most certainly do not want to try to catch it on the back of your hand.
It's been a long day without you, my
All right, we're back with our first check-in at about an hour and a half in. As you can see, we're starting to get some fantastic color along the outside. We're going to be using a spritz today of apple cider vinegar just to keep the outside of that meat moist and accepting smoke as long as we can for this initial portion of the cook. Once we get our ribs nice and coated, we're going to get that lid back on and we'll see you at our next check-in. We're back for our second check-in on our baby back ribs. Gonna take a peek under the lid here. Color is looking real good. We're starting to see some crusting going on, but we're not really seeing anything that would cause concern in terms of burnt tips or ends. In some cases, some folks might want to rotate the ribs around to ensure that that is not an issue, but not the case here. We're gonna hit it one more time with the apple cider vinegar. Do remember that you want to keep that apple cider vinegar inside of your fridge when you're not outside. As always, cold, wet meat does accept smoke better than anything else. So once we get this done, we'll get the lid back on and we'll see you for our next check-in. All right, we're sitting at just about 3 hours now. Our temp is dropping just a bit on our grill, but those ribs look real good. As you can see, the outside has got a great crust on it now. These ribs are ready for a wrap. So we'll take those off of our smoker, we'll walk them over to our foil, and we'll be right back to talk you through the wrap. All right, we have our ribs pulled off of direct smoke. We're going to get them wrapped in foil now so that we can ensure that meat comes out as tender as possible. We're going to give it one more spritz with our apple cider vinegar just to get the outside wet and get a little bit of moisture inside of that foil. Obviously, you're going to have the juices running out of the ribs inside of there. That's going to create the steam and the braising type effect. So this is just an additional component we wanted to use. Next, you're going to take some honey, and we're just going to give a couple of strands across the top of the ribs on the meat side. And last but not least, we're going to take our brown sugar and get a light dusting of brown sugar across the top. The sweetness is really going to help balance against the spice of the barbecue sauce and the rub. Once you have those things on, we're going to give it a nice tight wrap in heavy-duty aluminum foil and get it back onto the smoker. Same temp, around 275, and we'll see you during our next check-in. All right, welcome back. We are checking in on our wrapped ribs. As you can see, our temp is starting to drop on our Weber Smoky Mountain, but that's no problem. Our ribs have been on for just about an hour. We're gonna bring them over and take a look inside, see if these things are ready to go into the final stage of our cook process. We're gonna unwrap them here and just take a quick peek inside. As you can see, we're starting to see some pull away on the top of those ribs. That's good. The cracking in the crust on top, that tells us that they're getting close. We have some good moisture on the bottom of the foil that we can use to pour back on top of the ribs. We're going to get a little bit of barbecue sauce at this point. Just get a light coat of barbecue sauce over the top of the ribs, and then we're going to get them back onto the smoker. They're going to do just about 45 minutes to an hour back on the smoker to allow that crust to reset and to get that barbecue sauce to tack on to the outside. We'll be right back for the next check-in. Our ribs have been on for just about 40 minutes, and now you can see where that outer crust is coming from. That original layer of barbecue sauce we did has tacked up real nicely. The consistency of the outside of the ribs is where we want it to be. We're going to give it one more shot of barbecue sauce just to really get that external flavor moving. And we'll close it back up for just about 20 minutes more for an hour in total. All right, we're about an hour in on smoker, and these ribs are looking done. You can look at the pullback of the meat on the bone tips. You can get some tongs and do a bend test. Heck, you can temp them if you really want to, but we know these are done. It's time to rest. Our baby backs have been resting for about 15 minutes on the cutting board, covered in foil loosely. We're gonna get ready to carve them up and see what we're working with inside. I like to flip them up like this so you can carve down the bone line vertically and not have to worry about scraping into any bones. We're going to take a look inside and make sure that we've maintained some good moisture within the meat. Hold it up and take a quick look, and yeah, we can see some glistening there. That looks great. Got a good smoke ring. The exterior looks nice and tacky and caramelized. Let's see if it holds a bite. Oh yeah. All right, so we're holding a bite there. That means the consistency of the meat is right where we wanted it to be. I know there's some people out there, myself included sometimes, who likes the fall apart tenderness as opposed to what we're working with here today. But you could even get some of that fall off the boneness if you work your way to the end of the rack. So there is a happy medium somewhere in there. We're going to get the rest of these ribs carved up, and we'll be right back for our assessments. So we got to admit at this point, these were hands down the best baby back ribs that we had done up until this point. We've tried things such as putting them in butcher paper to assist with getting more of a bark to develop. We've tried things like injecting in between the ribs with the meat to keep it tender. We tried all kinds of variations of the 3-2-1 method that is apparently the standard. This worked best hands down. We got the meat consistency, the tenderness, the moisture, the external crusts, the flavor, everything was just on point with these. So we were lucky that the one time we had the cameras running, we got the optimal result. But that's not just for us to decide, right? We have some very critical judges who are waiting. Let's see what they have to say. Our oldest brisket brother, the most developed palate of the group. Not typically a rib guy, but he gives us 2 thumbs up. That's a big win. The middle brisket brother. He likes to take a look for a while. Again, not much of a rib guy either, so we were a little shaky as to what would come out of this assessment. But after thinking it over, going through the flavor wheel in his mind, we're not going to get a good... Oh! The surprise double thumbs up. And our littlest brisket brother. Saw his brothers do it. What is he going to do? I think that... Yeah! That's 2 thumbs up. 6 thumbs up. That's a win. Let's see what the barbecue dogs think. We're looking at that tail for a wag. There it is. Thank you, Zoe. Last but not least, we have the barbecue dog, Artie. If he tries to take your finger off, it is a good bite. And there goes the index finger. Thank you, Artie. That's going to do it for our baby back rib video. Thank you so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you soon with our next video. But until then, let's hit him with the montage.
Low and slow is tried and true. Smoking meat and sipping brews. Bring a friend, hell, bring a crew. I'm talking good old barbecue. It all starts with the rub. Busting out them bones and butts. Them chicken things is charring up. Come get some goodness in your gut. Time to get good old barbecue. Low and slow is tried and true.